Welcome to our Research Like a Pro with DNA question and answer series. And today we're going to talk all about anonymizing DNA information in screenshots. So this comes up with this question of how do I anonymize screenshots of DNA matches for research reports? So think for just a minute about why and when we want to anonymize DNA matches. If we are going to write a report that we want to share outside of a closed group, say we want to send it off to some cousins or we want to put it up on an online tree, we want to really try to prove what we have found, maybe putting it on something like Ancestry or Family Search, then we really need to anonymize DNA matches because they're, for the most part, living people, and unless we have permission, we cannot show information about them. Now, another time you might be wanting to anonymize DNA matches is if you're giving a presentation and you're teaching a small group or a large group about DNA and you want to show some screenshots about match lists and how DNA works. And there you are also going to need to anonymize your matches and any identifying information. So what kind of things do you need to anonymize? Well, you need to anonymize names. You might need to make sure usernames or kit numbers are not showing, email addresses. If you have put notes on Ancestry, those will show up, and perhaps you'll need to make sure those don't appear, profile photos, and you might even need to anonymize or hide centimorgan values and predictor relationships if it's sensitive information. And the same with segment data if it is sensitive. So these are types of things that you'll need to really look at, think about your purpose, who could be impacted if they were to see your work, and do some careful thinking about those last two. So there is a tool that you could use. It's actually a browser extension that you download and you can install it for free. It's called Goldiemay. Now, if you want to use the really cool feature for genetic genealogy, it does have a pay um, amount of $24 a month for the Pro, and that automatically will blur DNA pages. This is especially good if you want to go live and you want to just be able to show people all about how to use a website. It only works with Ancestry right now. So if you want to show them how to use their Ancestry match list and not be showing any information, you could probably just try Goldiemay for maybe 1 month. If you are using it all the time, perhaps you would want to subscribe, for a year or more, whatever you would want to do. But I thought I'd just show you how it works just so you have something to think about. So the privacy mode is what it's called, and it is under the paid plan. And what happens is that names and faces of living people on known pages will be blurred. It's for only English in United States and on Ancestry. And it does say it's not error proof. So sometimes the website will change. And so Goldiemay has to always adjust to the changes. And so if there's a change and Goldiemay hasn't adjusted yet, you may be giving a live demo and then you'll pop on a screen and all of a sudden it's not working. And so you'll just need to practice right before. Helpful to rehearse before live presentations. And there's the option to use first name only or last name only. And so if you are using those and you do separate presentations on the same family, perhaps somebody could piece together full names. So you just need to be careful, judicious how you use it. So this is a screen that you do come to, and once you've enabled it, then you just open Ancestry and it goes to work. So there's some different choices for anonymizing your matches. You can have it be just private. You can have just initials, first name only, last name only. You can blur the whole note. You can show the entire note. So I thought I'd just show you what it looks like. So here's the first one where we've just put in private and the whole note is blurred. And this was a nice change before this wasn't there. And so you would have private, but then you'd have your notes showing and you'd have to cover those up. So now you could go entirely private with this and not have anything showing, and that would be very helpful. Now here's an example of where you have initials showing and then you show the entire note. So in this case, this is for my first cousin once removed, Lucretia, who has given me permission to use her name in presentations and in writing. And we have her full initials, Lucretia Becker Neal, here, and her note is showing. And so this is giving quite a bit of information here if I do show that note. But maybe there's a situation where I'd want to show the note, but still have somebody be privatized. Maybe my notes aren't very specific. So here's an example of just using a first name and then the entire note being blurred. And these are fairly private first names. However, if somebody gets into the family tree, they could probably pretty easily figure out who some of these people are, especially if they're seeing the amount of centimorgans shared. Here's an example where we're showing just the last name, and then we're showing the entire note again. And in this case, maybe the note is fine because it's not really identifying, it's just kind of putting them into a group. So this person seems to be on my career side, and then it's conflicting as a match with someone in probably another group. Can't see the rest of the note there. So those are some options for Goldiemay. If you're interested in learning about that, you can go to the website and try it out. But you don't want to pay anything. You just want to know how to anonymize. So let's spend the rest of our time together on the tools. And these are tech tools. And so for the most part, they are free. Some of these do have a pay. Some of them you just have a download or a pay one time to use it or to upgrade. But for the most part, you can just do everything that I'm going to show you for free. So you need a capture tool, something to take screenshots. I use the snipping tool on Windows. It's free. There's also the preview tool on Macs, or there's Snagit, which does have, I believe, a one-time cost. And then after you've captured your screenshot, then you need to turn to some image editing tools. And these could be something like Paint or Photoshop or Canva, or you can do this directly within PowerPoint or Word if you're a Microsoft user. And if you're a Mac user, I would imagine you could do something very similar in the programs you have available. So how do you do this? Well, first of all, you screenshot your DNA match list, and you'll notice I still have everybody privatized just for the sake of these slides so that I don't show anything here as I am showing you how to make them even more private. So if you take a screenshot of whatever you want to show, and then you take a second screenshot, and this time we're going to get just the DNA matches because we want all of this to show. Just want to hide the names and faces. So here's the second shot. And then you overlay the screenshot of the matches. So we're going to take this and put it right over the top so that it will look like I haven't done anything. I'm just kind of showing you here. And then you double click on the image that you want to blur. And in PowerPoint or Word, you can go up to Artistic Effects. When you double click, it opens up the picture formatting toolbar. And then you go to Artistic Effects, and then there are a lot of different things that you can choose from. And you can just play with those and see which one you like. And there are 2 or 3 that I like to use, and the one I decided to show you was this one right here. And I like this one because it shows that there is a picture here, really blurs it out well, and it also blurs out the names, but you can still see that there was a name here. So you can try different ones and see, and I always try to line it up so it doesn't look really obvious that, this is a real mismatch here. So here's another example of one. Now this one is not a good one. The faces are very nicely blurred, but you can see that the names, even though they have an artistic effect applied to them, you can easily make out all those names. So that's why you want to try it out and then just see which one really does do a good job of, hiding specifically the names, which this one is much better than this one. Now, another thing that you can do is you can just use shapes and take a rectangle and then type within it, and then you can type in pseudonyms. So here I've covered up the name and just call this match John and this match Sally. Here I've changed the box to white so it just blends in nicely here. I've just left it blue. I haven't done anything with Greg and Hunter here. So this might be really helpful if you're trying to carry through names through a whole presentation or in your report. You want to talk a lot about John and Sally, and you're anonymizing and referring to people. That could work well. You could also put something in like, the ancestor. Often we talk about in research reports to call, it the name of the ancestor. Say the ancestor's name is Harry. You could say Harry 1, Harry 2, Harry 3. You could show people that you're talking about and put the pseudonym there. So that's another thing that you can do that works well. So one tip is to make sure that you look carefully at the page. So here is Lucretia's match page, and I highlighted all the different places her name shows up. So sometimes we hide the main name, but then we don't look carefully. And then if we are putting this into our report or up on the screen, all of a sudden we see her name everywhere, identified in the tree and all over the place. So you have to be really careful on some of the match pages to ensure that you are covering up everything that you need to. And so that can be a little tricky. It's a little disconcerting to be giving a presentation and showing a slide, and all of a sudden there is revealed the person you're talking about, even though you've got them all anonymized nicely in their big name. So hopefully those little tips will help you as you're thinking about how to do this whole idea of giving people their privacy and anonymizing their identifying information. Once you get the hang of it, it's really pretty easy, and there's several different ways you can do it. So you just can explore the different tech tools and whatever works best for you. So thank you and good luck as you continue working with your DNA matches.